Now we're on to assembling. So go back to your dry fit. I'm actually going to do this with type 1 glue because I'm dealing with red oak here. If we were using cedar, we could simply do this with type 3 for outdoor. Notice it's ingrained, so it soaks up a little bit of glue, so I added a little bit more on there. Now, it's going to be easier to do with it flipped upside down. So remember, we're labeling up everything. So this is A, B section here. So I lined up AA, BB, and I'm going to use this F-style clamp. Gently clamp these together. Definitely use an F-style. And then I'm going to use a trigger clamp here to hold it to the table so it doesn't move. I have to pre-drill here. I have a 6-inch long 1/8 bit. I'm going to pre-drill. Do not drill out the backside. You're just giving the bit or the screw a little bit more room to not snap off as you drill your pocket holes here. So then you get your pocket hole screws and simply screw them in. And the screws work as clamps here. So as soon as I get the screws in, I can take clamps right off because the screws act as a clamp. Now, I'm still not going to throw this thing around, so I'll still be real gentle. I'm going to rotate this around now so my pocket holes are at the bottom. Now, before I do this, I need to exactly mark 6 inches here. So 6 inches there, 6 inches there. So now when I go ahead and I put my glue on, again, type 1. Now this is ingrained, so it's going to soak up a little bit here. So simply get that spread around. If you have any dry spots, you can go add a little bit more. Mine actually looks pretty good here. And I want the 6-inch line to be where the top of this lines up. So again, I'll bring it over so it's right on the edge of my table here. I'm going to use the F-style clamp here. Again, I'm not going to over clamp this. I just need it to snug up. I just don't want it to move on me. Again, I'm not cranking on it. And I use the trigger clamp to help it hold down in place. Same thing again. Getting this 6-inch bit. It's a 1/8 inch bit. I'm just pre-drilling here just a little bit. I do not want to go all the way through. Take the pocket holes, screws, and screw this thing in. It's a little tricky getting the impact driver in here, but because it is pre-drilled, it should go in pretty easy. And you make sure you don't have the impact driver on setting 3. It should be on setting 2, so you don't go over torque this thing and snap your screws off. But yeah, should be good. All right, so we've got these pairs now. I did AB, then EF. So now as you line these up, the letters need to be on the outside. This is so important that the letters are on the outside or your stool's not going to work right. So that's what I was just doing here, just showing you that all the letters now are on the outside. So I've got the AB sections, I've got the EF sections, and now I can even see that CD and GH are lined up. So now the smaller ones that have pocket holes, again, those pocket holes are going to be on the top, on the narrow side of the trapezoid. And wonderful hair I have here. Look, that is true Young Money hair there. That was a rough time in my life there. I didn't do it to look good. But yeah, we're going to still pre-drill those pocket holes. Notice F-style clamp, trigger clamp to hold it down in place. Like I said, pre-drilled. Drive these screws, and they go in pretty easy, just the same way the other ones did. And then you'll flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Now, you're still missing a cross member. You need to measure this. So I wanted to take some time. It's the only thing you haven't cut yet. So you need to measure this distance, record it. It should be the same on both, and go do the same process you did in the first video. Get those things cut. Same way, if you don't remember, go back and look at the video, but you need to get 1.5 stock at those dimensions, trapezoids again. So here, I've already made those cuts. I'm not going to bore you with showing you how to do that again, but I'm going to glue these down. Same thing again, and I have this clamped in place. Now we're going to do something a little bit different here in attaching these legs because I don't need to drill pocket holes in this one. I know you can see that there's pocket holes in the video, but I've actually changed my mind with how we're going to do this after I'd already drilled the pocket holes. It's not going to make much of a difference, but I wanted to show you guys how to do this with plug cutting. It's just a different type of joinery. So what I'm going to do is same thing. Again, no pocket holes. We skip that step altogether, and I'm simply going to get this lined up. Now I want this top section to be, or this last cross member, I should say. You can see I already did the top one there, so I'm actually showing you the second one here. So what we're going to do is line this up so that it is just above the other ones, which remember we're 6 inches above. So I'm getting this fit up, and we're going to use another F-style clamp. Now, when you use this F-style clamp, do not put it right on top of the cross section there. You're actually going to be about 2 inches above towards the top of the screw. So you see here I'm about 2 inches above. And that's because I need to get in there and drill. So again, I'm holding this in place. Your helper will be able to help you out a lot more here, but I did clamp it to the table. And now I'm using that F-style clamp, and I'm just tightening that down, closing these gaps up. All right, so now that's in the right spot. Now, I'm going to come over, and I have that. Remember that 6-inch drill bit again? We're going to drill right through the side of the stool. Yeah, we're putting a hole in the side of our stool. How dare we? It'll be fine. So we're going to drill right through, and I'm going pretty far in, but on red oak here, I need to come in and back out, come in and back out, come in and back out, because this bit's going to get real hot. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but I'm sure the bit is going to be smoking. Oh yeah, look at all that smoke. That's a hot bit. Don't touch it. So once I get that drilled all the way in, we're going to actually use a 3/8 inch drill bit here. Nice little brad point here. And we're going to set it to go halfway through the wood. So see how it's halfway through my leg there? And I put up a little piece of painter's tape, and I'm going to fold it over so that when that painter's tape hits, I know I'm halfway in the leg. All right, so there's that painter's tape. I'm going to start off real going nice and slow here because this bit will go quick. So slow, 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 and it's going to grab. Yep, there it is. It grabbed real quick. And I basically go in until the tape is flush with the wood, and I have a 3/8 inch hole. Now I'm going to simply take the pocket hole, just to use a 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screw, and we'll drive that in, and it'll pull that together. Then I'll rotate the board 90 degrees and do the same thing on the other side. But we need to cut a plug. So this is a plug cutter. So I put it into the machine, in the drill press here. Notice probably it doesn't reach the bottom. So you're going to need to ask me for help. We're going to move the table. I just did that. So now it does, in fact, go all the way through. You're going to need to ask me for help on that. I don't trust you to lower and raise the table without breaking my drill press. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we need to set the depth of cut. We are actually not going to drill all the way through here. We're basically going to be about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. So I'm going to lower this down to about 1/8 of an inch below, as you can see there. And then I'm going to, here, let me back out. There we go. Set the depth stop. So remember, that's the 2 nuts on the left-hand side there. So you're going to see me spin those down and lock that in place. So that way the bit will not go any further than that. Right there, about 1/8 of an inch up from the wood. Perfect. All right, it's time to cut some plugs. You see I already cut 4 there, so I'm going to cut the other 4 that I need. So again, I'm cutting these out of cedar so I can go a little bit quicker, but it's in and out, so on and so forth. If you're doing this with red oak, you're going to want to do much shallower passes. But again, we're not going all the way through. And that bit is fairly sharp. That bit will get very hot. And you need a total of 4 plugs per stool. Again, I didn't use clamps there, so I was holding that down firmly with my hand because I had to move it all. So yeah, there's my 8 plugs. I actually have 16 plugs here now. And a little screwdriver should be able to pop these out. They should pop out pretty easy if you drilled far enough. So yep, a little flathead screwdriver pops that one out. That one actually broke loose on its own. Sweet, I got 2 of the plugs out. So here's how you fill the plug. That plug is cut to be 3/8, just like the hole we drilled. So we're simply going to put a bunch of glue in there. Type 1 if you're using red oak. Type 3 if you're using cedar. And I'm simply going to coat the hole and coat the plug. And the plug's not going to go all the way in. It'll go more than halfway, though. And I'm simply going to gently tap that in until it really won't go any further. That one almost goes all the way in. I got about 1/4 inch sticking out. And then I need to clean up all the glue squeeze out. I'm going to sand it all off anyway, but, you know, it makes it a little bit easier. Now, once it's dry, you take the flush cut saw here, and it cuts on the pull stroke, and you simply cut off the plug, sand it smooth. Your stool is assembled.